Well, good afternoon. We're Team Bills, and we're really excited to be here to talk to you about our concept. It's a bar concept for Philadelphia, and we've been working on it for the past 7 months. And now I'm going to turn over to Will. He'll explain his love for beer.
Thank you, Lydia. Believe it or not, this concept emerged from something much greater than my love of beer. My family's been in the bar business since 1960, when my grandfather opened the Drexel Ale House in suburban Philadelphia. Today, my father and grandfather own a restaurant brewery company called Mackenzie Brewhouse, and it's been going strong for 15 years. So yes, I love beer, but I also love the beer business. Last May, I came to Cornell with the intention of building my own business. And what Lydia and I are presenting today is a new and exciting opportunity in beer. So learning about the beer industry is a lot of fun, but it's all over the place. There's many new players and new beers with their own unique marketing messages. So instead of learning more about the beer makers, we wanted to learn how the consumer felt. Being unique on the beer maker side is no longer enough to sustain a competitive advantage. So we talked to over 100 millennials in the Philadelphia area. Why millennials? Because they drink the most beer. In our conversations, we found a consistent pattern. Millennials enjoy trying new and adventurous flavors. So we took a deeper dive, and it turns out growth in the beer industry is driven by variety and flavor. People are drinking more beer today than they had in the past because new flavors are exciting. The issues, however, are that the quality of these beers lacks consistency, and millennials specifically, are constantly changing their flavor preferences. Take this customer, for example. In March, she discovered star anise. By April, she prefers almond flavors. And in May, she will only have strawberry. Bars and breweries cannot keep up with this kind of change, and that is bad news for customers. So the reason for this is beer utilizes a push system. Beer is brewed and bought in batches and pushed to the consumer through marketing schemes and through discounts. In the system, no one has an advantage. Sales rely on heavy promotion and adoption of new flavors. Inevitably, there's a lag. So come May, when the customer wants strawberry, everyone is still trying to sell almond. I experienced this problem firsthand at Mackenzie. One fall, we released our pumpkin beer too late in the season. By December, it had stopped selling, took up valuable space in inventory, and prevented us from brewing the next batch. One day, we decided to cut our losses and pour it out, and understandably, I was very upset. The push system in beer is a problem, and Bill's is the answer. By offering consumer-driven flavors and next-day adoption, Bill's implements a pull system. Therefore, we're able to hold hands with our customer through March, April, and May.
Okay. So this is how Bill's operation is different and has a competitive advantage. At a usual bar, 1 keg means 1 beer. But at Bill's, 1 keg can become 6 different beers. So from 1 keg, we have 6 different channels, and the beer will flow through them into our infusion system, and which will release flavors into the channels. And then while the beer is flowing to the tap, it will mix with the flavors, and we'll have 6 different flavored beers on tap. So the sample you're tasting is one of them. Okay. And now we'll show you our customer experience. So Bill's layout creates an engaging and environment with comfortable and versatile seating options. The unique service design of Bill's is centered around a quick service bar, which the customer approaches to place their order. Customers are encouraged to taste the beer before placing their order from the 30 varieties offered on tap. A QR code will be used for scanning and as a loyalty card to accumulate points towards free beer. From Bill's standpoint, having all this information will help us create new beer. So all of this information will be fed into our CRM software, which will use algorithms to identify trends and preferences. And this will in turn create new flavors directly catered to our guests. So for our first unit, we're looking at Fishtown in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. This is an area with a lot of established beer culture. It's hip, it's up and coming, and it has a high concentration of our customers. So these are the millennials. Millennials are the largest beer drinkers in this largest beer drinking generation, and they're very adventurous when it comes to flavor. So this is perfect and it aligns with the Bill's brand. We also see a lot of partnership opportunities with local businesses and use their products in our beers. So for instance, we can partner with La Colombe and use their coffee to create a coffee and mint stout, or partnering with Steep's Tea and use their mango and apricot tea to create a mango and apricot IPA, or even Honey from Philadelphia Bee Company to create a lemon and honey lager. So based on our observations and research of Fishtown bars, we predict about 130 covers on weekdays and 220 covers on the weekends. Beer is a high margin product, and we are confident that we can achieve a 24% operating margin with the first unit. So based on these projections, we were looking for $336,000 in investment for this first unit. With this first unit, we hope we can prove that the Bill's concept works, and basically it's financially feasible, and hope that people will be more interested in us and invest more money to create more units across the country. So if we're able to win today, which we hope we are, we will be using this money towards perfecting our infusion system. So thank you, and we hope you enjoyed the beer and the snack and our presentation, and we're happy to answer any of your questions.
So I think the infusion system is an original idea. Does anybody do it now?
Not that we know of. We are actually, a little more detail on that, we're repurposing a device that's used in brewing already for this specific function.
I think it's really cool.
Thank you.
I like to taste new things. I like the idea of flavors in different kinds of beers. I did have a couple of concerns. You have a sort of singular model of this 32-ounce beer, and it seems to be driven by your Crawley, the canning process. So it's sort of, it doesn't exactly make sense to me. A takeout, shouldn't drive the offering. And when I think of infused beer, I think of tasting menus. I think of flights. Have you considered that? And
Yes, so to address the second half of your question, we want everyone who buys their beer to enjoy it to the maximum potential. So we will explicitly ask the guest, what beers would you like to sample? So we will offer free samples before they make a purchase. We also found that price biases beer selection. So we wanted to remove that from the equation. And because we have the 32-ounce growler system, we wanted to simplify it with price. Are we flexible on that? Absolutely. So our whole concept is about being dynamic and moving with our guests. And if they want a smaller portion, we will allow that, absolutely.
yeah, and one other question around that. People don't like to wait a whole long time. It's sort of that ends up being maybe a cross between a wine tasting venue and beer. So it's just, What do you think about that? The time, how long it will take to get through the tasting time to serve?
Absolutely. We want the ordering process to be as engaging as possible. And in my experience and conversations that I've had, people like going to bars just to be around other people. So a congregation right around the quick service counter is not a bad thing. It'll also give them opportunity to look at our whole selection and make a quality decision about which samples they'd like to try and perhaps even buy.
Hi, Greg. Will and Lydia, great job. I thought your plan was thoughtful, easy read, you asked for the order, what the investment was going to be, that doesn't happen in some plans. So it was really well done.
Thank you.
You're betting a lot on flavored beers. You know, like the leading brand in flavored beer may be the tallest pygmy. So in the deck, there was very little about the demand for flavored beer, growth of flavored beer, why do I want flavored beer, or why you could do it and other people can't. I mean, there was not literally just one paragraph. So can you flesh that out?
Sure. The whole craft beer movement is around this addition of flavor. When we talk to people, a lot of times they mention the flavor of their beer. They said, oh, it's got fruity hops, it's got pine notes, citrus notes. And we recognized these kind of flavor preferences surfacing in our conversations. So whether they know it or not, their decisions are based around flavor. Styles are this category we put these flavors into. And we believe through our research that there's many different levels to this flavor. And we want to bring it out and be, an innovator in flavor. Also, new flavors create a lot of buzz. So you see a lot of articles, media reports when a new exciting flavor comes out. An Oreo beer was in South Carolina the other day, and it sold out instantaneously. So we can pick up on those trends, and we can offer Oreo beer the following day and capitalize on that immediate demand that consumers feel.
Well, so my fear is, after reading the plan, that you're trying to do a lot, but I'm not following is the concept the fusion system, or is the concept the restaurant experience, and you spent about equal amounts of times on both? Which of the two do you prioritize? Where do you really have a competitive advantage here?
So we want to build a beer brand. I think it's an excellent point, leading towards growth as well. We want to build a beer brand because we have the know-how to run and operate a bar. And we also have this differentiated strategy and product and system that will allow us to set us apart in the craft beer market. Can I elaborate more on your question?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out,
Yeah.
is it a beer concept here where
Okay.
revolutionizing
Yes.
how we make beer, or is it revolutionizing how you operate a brewery or a bar?
Yes. So to that point, we see many different ways we can grow this concept. Initially, what we're pitching right now is this bar concept, which we already know how to do. But can we expand this to tea and coffee? Yes. Can we grow this to different cities and different markets? Yes, we can do that too. Can we enter retailers with cans? Absolutely, because our data collection, we know the timing that these flavors will be accepted by the market. And we know when to remove them from the shelves too.
That's an analytics business.
Yes, it's very analytically heavy.
Three different businesses that you're talking about. Where do you prioritize that? Which one is the most important?
So we're all in with this first bar concept. We're all in for the bar. But we want to set ourselves up. And because we offer these adventurous house-made recipes, we can collect data much faster than any other bar or brewery can. And that'll ignite growth in the future. So once we standardize and can really get our bar concept underneath us and performing well, we're going to look to grow rapidly.
The design is very different than typical bars and beer houses. What was the thought and logic behind changing the entire design? And the menu seems very limited in terms of what you're offering. What's the average stay that you're projecting?
Sorry, what's the average?
So no, the
So
first
it's the
part of
same,
the
okay.
question was,
Yeah.
the design is very different than typical beer halls or bars. And what was the thought behind that?
Yeah, so basically we were thinking that we have a very different concept and we want to be different from all the bars in Fishtown and stand out. So our design has been very different. We're using soft seating quite a bit instead of the usual bars, the uncomfortable bar stools. And so I think that's why we made it different, just to stand out and show our competitive advantage.
And so the second part of that was on the food side, not having a larger menu. Will that
Yes.
cause people to stay?
Go eat and then go out afterwards to different. And that's what we found also in our research, is that people move around in Philadelphia when they go out to drink on a typical night. So we don't imagine a long stay per guest. I think probably an hour or so, and then we'll flip. Yeah.
I think you're right on with the food thing. Not having a lot of food, keeping it simple. Maybe put boards with salamis and all those things like that you can share. I think you're spot on there. I've got a question. The IRR in this thing's 14%. You're only doing 20,000 a week. Are you just being wimpy in this projection? What's the upside? Because no one's going to give you this kind of money for 14% return. So, where's the upside here?
These projections are based on our initial units, so we hope that this will be proof of concept that we can grow this business to multiple other revenue streams, and we'll get more investment and more revenues, hopefully.
Now, I'm not talking additional stores. I'm talking about this first one. Your strategy so far is pretty spot on. I think you're in the right place in Philly and all that. So, but 20,000 a week.
Yeah.
I've been to Fishtown, and I got a feel for the market and what the different bars are doing. I think there's a synergy effect that's happening. So as Fishtown grows, we will grow with it, and hopefully we will pass all the other bars in the area. These projections are based on what it is today. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.